But the one that I'm really interested to learn about though is yours and Jay Cutler Siggs because
Yeah.
you took that team over, and I mean there was like really no one. I don't remember who was on your team, but I know it wasn't very stacked with talent. So I'm curious just to like so the people obviously because I mean we're not fucking fancy yet, guys. We don't have like I'm not an editor. Like I don't know how to put the shit on the screen so you can all see it. We'll learn eventually, but we're not there
Yeah.
yet. So I'm just going to read you some of the names off of Alex's team. I don't know if you planned on doing this or not, but just I
Yeah.
wanted to at least give some of the people. So like you, Jamison Williams, he has also targeting mostly a lot of wide receivers. Like you said, you were telling me earlier, you still have some work to do in your running back, but I'll let you talk
Mhm.
about that. But you have Jamison Williams, Drake London, Traylon Burks, Garrett Wilson, guys, who is like we said, Aaron Rodgers heading to New York. So look out for Garrett
Yeah.
Wilson. Rashid Shaheed, got to show my Saints guys some love, man. That's a nice little gadget player
Yeah.
to turn into something. But then also you got Robert Tunyon, Pat Fryermuth. I don't think you have a player right now on your team who's over 24, 25 years old, maybe. Well, actually,
Yeah.
Tunyon might be your oldest player. Yeah, he's 28.
Yeah.
So that's a really
Otherwise, I went rookie and second or third year players, that showed potential last year.
right. And
Obviously,
I didn't even see this guy on your taxi squad, Rondell Moore. You know, the
yep.
Cardinals are kind of in a shitty situation right now and like a little bit of a rebuild, but that's still a nice piece. You know,
Yeah.
Dynasty, you want to look long term with these guys.
And I had Kyler at one point, which was part of my main trade. One of my first trades that I made before he went down, excuse me, after I took over the team and was able to net a couple picks. um, and some of the young players and stuff like that. So, my main goal, I have 4 first round picks this year. So I really need running backs. I've got Rashad White, Zamir White, Tyler Algier,
Great year to have
Kyron
four first
Williams,
round picks.
yep,
Great year.
Chris Evans, Zonovan Knight. So I don't have any top tier guys, although I do like Rashad White as long as they don't draft another, main
I'm
running
iffy.
back.
I'm iffy on him.
It depends on how the draft goes, so we'll see. Same thing with Tyler Algier, because he was really good last year down the stretch for the Falcons, and with Arthur Smith, they want to run the ball, and he was about the last 4 games of last year, he was RB8, RB12, and RB16. So
Yeah.
he had a decent close to the season, and they're going to keep running it. So as long as they don't draft anybody crazy, I could see that being a good pickup there.
So when you're
Um,
looking for players, is there a specific thing that you're looking for? Like, is it situation? Is it just like draft stock? Like what are you looking for specifically? Because obviously I know, and I'm sure you've mentioned it throughout the podcast already, you're a huge Drake London fan. So I think that was one of
Huge.
like the first people you acquired. But
Yeah.
I mean, this is where me and you differ. I don't think he's in the best of situations, but obviously you're a fan and the talent still showed. So what are some of the things that you really look for? I mean, is it, I guess, just overall talent? I mean, obviously that's kind of a given, but like there are obviously certain things that certain people like to look for whenever you're making a trade and building a team how you want to build. So why don't you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, 100%. Actually, there's kind of 3 categories that I looked at was draft capital, talent, which is not just limited to what they individually look like they can do, but
Okay.
talent relative to their
Yeah.
competition as well. So obviously, a lot of SEC that we're going to be looking at, some of the big name schools in the Big 12 and the ACC, all that stuff. So you want to see how they fared against tough competition. And then the third category I kind of looked at was the fit. So obviously, the draft capital, we'll see what team, where they take them, how early. If it's a day one pick, obviously that's a huge investment. If it's a day two pick, you're still excited about that a lot because those are premium picks. Most of your
Yeah.
starters are in the first few rounds. So if they're willing to put that kind of draft capital into you, they're going to try and use you and get your money out of you, right? Um, and then
Advantage of that
with the
rookie
draft
contract.
capital is absolutely. And with the draft capital, kind of, I put them as separate sections, but as a third section, I have fit. So team fit. Do they fit with the scheme? Do they have a smart offensive coach? And do they have the opportunity as well? So when you look at Brees Hall last year, he obviously had the talent. He had Robert Saleh coming from the 49ers with, man, it's my coach's brother,
Matt LaFleur.
Mike LaFleur.
Mike LaFleur.
What
Yeah.
was the yeah, Mike LaFleur was the offensive coordinator over there for the Jets. So I know he's got a good run scheme. They're coming from the 49ers. So the scheme fit was good. And then the opportunity. The only person in his way was Michael Carter, which he definitely projected to more of a third, a third down back, a receiving back out of the backfield, which we know Brees Hall can do it all. And you kind of saw that in the beginning of the year. They let Michael Carter kind of come on and take a lot of the brunt work, but get Brees Hall involved, and you could see the flashes. And then by the time through week 3, week 4 came around, it was all Brees Hall until unfortunately he tore his ACL. But
Right.
that's the type of thing that you're looking for, the draft capital, because they took him in the second round.
Get well
Um, you
soon,
know,
Bree.
yeah, absolutely. I've been trying to trade for him in every league.
Dude, fucking
I
monster.
got him as my top 3 running back. So
I have to give him some love too, because I hated on Brees. Not hated on him, but I wasn't a fan. I wasn't a believer as much as some of the other people going into the pre-draft process, and
right,
mother proved me wrong real quick.
dude.
Big old egg
Uh,
in my face. He's a beast. That man's a
I
real
mean,
deal.
but think about between him and Ken Walker, man. I mean, it was so. When we talk about fit, talking about coach scheme and opportunity, we knew Rashad Penny was going to go down, so there's your opportunity. We know that Pete Carroll wants to just ground and pound and play defense. And no offense to Gino, because I think he's actually did amazing last season, but their goal is to throw it over the top, but they want to ground and pound, right? Um, and same thing, scheme and fit for the coach. I mean, it just made too much sense for Ken Walker to go there, and
Right.
we see what he became. So
Yeah, no, we know
those are
one
my
thing
3
about
main fits.
yeah, no, for sure. We know one thing about Pete Carroll is that they love to run ground and pound. Marshawn
Yeah.
Lynch wants to run that ball. Even when they had Russell Wilson, all they wanted to do was run the ball and play defense. So I mean,
You
that's
remember
why
Sean Alexander?
Sean, dude, that was my favorite player
Yeah, man.
growing up.
Yeah.
I
So I
literally
mean, they've always kind of
Yeah,
wanted to
dude.
stick with that.
Sean Alexander, you just brought back some nostalgia, dude. That was my first ever jersey I bought. Like that was I had a book by him. I had like a signed football. Like Sean Alexander was like my favorite player growing up. Like shout out to Sean Alexander. I
Yeah,
actually
man. I
met him
remember
out
playing
of
in Madden. Did you really?
yeah, whenever I was working the Senior Bowl, I introduced myself. It was pretty cool. Like, I mean, I didn't tell him like I was like a big fan, but I was like, yeah, I'm a fan. Like, I grew up watching you. Like, I was
Yeah.
really humble guy too. Like, it was awesome.
Amazing, bro.
Yeah, love
That's
Sean
dope.
Alexander. Love
Yeah.
Sean Alexander. So cool.